Howdy folks, and welcome to everything that's wrong with Far Cry New Dawn. So, I covered the good bits in this game in the previous video. Now it's time to show you the other side of the coin. And I should warn you, there are going to be major spoilers in this video. In fact, this video is pretty much just spoiler from start to finish. So if you are planning on playing Far Cry New Dawn for yourself, and I have to admit, despite everything that sucked about this game, I did actually enjoy playing it. And if you're planning on having a go of the game yourself, you should probably stop watching around about now, because from here on in, it's pretty much all just spoilers. The first thing about this game that made me think that Ubisoft were really just not trying very hard at all was the overall look of the game. Don't forget, this game is set after the events of Far Cry 5. And at the end of Far Cry 5, this small, rural Montana county was hit by at least 5 thermonuclear devices. Now, I don't know about you, but I actually grew up in the Cold War. And my generation fully expected that we wouldn't live long enough to die of old age. We were all going to die in a thermonuclear holocaust. And we had some expectations of what that sort of thing would look like. Well, apparently these expectations were not shared by the game developers at Ubisoft, because their vision of what a blasted and irradiated atomic wasteland should look like is pretty much exactly the same as what rural Montana looks like today, except with a lot more pink flowers and a lot of buildings that look as if they haven't seen a lick of fresh paint in the last 10 years. Now, what do you suppose is the reason for this startling lack of imagination? Is it because A, the game developers at Ubisoft have a startling lack of imagination, or is it because Far Cry New Dawn is basically just a pretty lazy Far Cry 5 asset flip, just with lots and lots of pink flowers, and buildings that look as if they haven't had a lick of paint in the last 10 years? Now, call me a wizened old cynic if you must, but I kind of think it's option B. Yeah, they really didn't expend an awful lot of time, effort and money on the whole world-building aspect of Far Cry New Dawn, but that isn't necessarily a game breaker in and of itself. It still definitely has that, what for me at least, is a maddeningly addictive open-world Far Cry style gameplay loop. A formula that over the years has proven so successful for Ubisoft that they've done their level best to shoehorn it into every single title that they publish. They've stuffed this gameplay dynamic into Ghost Recon, Assassin's Creed, and The Division. Personally, I don't really have a problem with that, because, like I said, I do enjoy playing this kind of game. And providing they can back that up with an interesting storyline and some compelling characters that we actually care about, it's all good, right? Yeah, about that. The story's a bit of a mixed bag. In parts, it's really good. In other parts, it's, well, a bit weak, and in still other parts it's downright terrible. The basic idea behind the whole plot of Far Cry New Dawn is that the poor defenseless inhabitants of Hope County, Montana, after recovering from nuclear devastation, have found themselves completely at the mercy of a bunch of bikers. And they're so completely incapable of defending themselves that they call in outside help, and that's where you, the player, come in. Now, the reason this is ridiculous is there's a couple of things you have to understand about the inhabitants of Hope County, as portrayed in the previous game, Far Cry 5. Now, just in case you, like the developers of Far Cry New Dawn, had never played Far Cry 5, let me explain what these people were like. There was a movie released in 1990, starring Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon. It's called Tremors. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it because it's both scary and hilariously funny. And the plot of the movie basically revolves around a tiny one-horse town in the middle of the Nevada desert that's been terrorized by underground giant flesh-eating worms. One of the couples that lives in this tiny little town are a pair of survivalists. And in the basement of their house, they have their armory. Let me tell you, this is one husband and wife team who are prepared for anything. When their underground armory inevitably comes under attack from the giant flesh-eating wormy monsters, this husband and wife doomsday survivalist couple unload everything they've got into them. And the scene in the movie where this happens is actually quite comical, because they don't bother to swap magazines whenever they run dry on their weapons, because they've got so many weapons and they're all loaded and ready to go. They just drop whichever gun they've emptied, pick up a fresh one, and run that one until it's dry, and then pick up another fully loaded gun, run that one till it's dry, and they just keep doing this over and over and over until the monster's dead. Alright, I get it, Jingles. So you're saying the people of Hope County, Montana from Far Cry 5 were like this survivalist couple? No, I'm not. What I'm saying is that the people of Hope County, Montana from Far Cry 5, if they sat down to watch Tremors, when it came to that scene, they'd immediately dismiss this couple as a pair of left-wing, namby-pamby Canadian liberals who clearly weren't trying hard enough. Okay? The people in this county started off tough, mean and prepared for everything, and then somebody dropped a bunch of nukes on them. What we have left are the ones who survived that, and yet when you enter the game, these hard-as-nails sons of bitches have suddenly and inexplicably turned into a bunch of lentil-munching hippies sitting around the campfire holding hands and singing Kumbaya, and are completely incapable of defending themselves against a gang of outlaw bikers. The basic concept that the entire plot of the game hangs on just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, alright, Jingles, I mean, fair enough, it is complete and utter bollocks, but we're talking here really about events that occurred between Far Cry 5 and the beginning of Far Cry New Dawn. All of that is really just the setup for Far Cry New Dawn. It's not the actual game. What about events that actually occur in the game itself? Okay, fair enough, you make a good point. So let's talk about events that actually transpire in the game as you're playing. And unfortunately, things start bad, and they just pretty much just get worse and worse the further into the story you go. Now, I realise that it's traditional in Far Cry games to start you off without a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. What that means in New Dawn is that you're working for a man named Colonel Rush, and this guy is apparently a bit of a hero. He's been driving around America, riding? He's in a train, I suppose it's riding, around America helping out communities in need since the nuclear war. And this is the guy who's been called in to help the poor defenceless, lentil-munching hippies of Hope County, Montana. Unfortunately, his train gets blown up by the evil biker villain gang, and he immediately gets himself taken prisoner right at the start of the game, which leaves you without a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So far Cry. So the hero, upon whom the hopes and dreams of everybody in Hope County depend, gets himself captured by the bad guys right at the start of the game. So your first order of business is to find out where they're holding him and go and bust him loose.
Oh my God. Jesus, I thought you were dead. I should have known you'd come through. You came back for me. Ah! You crazy son of a bitch. You came back for me. We need to go. Now.
No problem, Tom, the old mucker. It was the least I could do. Now, do try not to make a habit out of this whole getting taken prisoner thing. You're the guy we're all looking to for leadership here, after all. And so, of course, the very next thing he does is get himself taken prisoner again. And again. And again. In fact, the only thing that Thomas Rush actually does in the course of the entire game is go off on his own to do a spot of reconnaissance and get himself taken prisoner by the bad guys. He's such a bumbling incompetent that even the villains start to feel vaguely embarrassed about the whole thing and put a stop to it. And that is where we are right now. Which also leads me on to two other major issues that I have with Far Cry New Dawn. The fact that the plot keeps making ridiculously stupid decisions for you, and the villains suck.
There you are, Rabbit. You were warned, but you and Rush kept making too many problems for us, so finally we had to take things into our own hands. Now it's our turn to make problems for you. Your people here are counting on you. We're gonna show them just how much of a curse you really are.
So, What's happening at this point in the game is that Rush has, once again, done what he does best and gotten himself taken prisoner. Except to make matters worse, this time he's not done it alone. And he's also managed to take a whole bunch of the poor defenceless inhabitants of Hope County along with him. Not quite sure how. They don't bother to explain. I can only assume that they were all taken by surprise while they were busy stripping down their assault rifles and turning them into farming implements. Now, rather than simply shoot you in the head, the evil twins have booby-trapped this abandoned fertiliser plant, although first they've painted it all a rather nice shade of pink for some strange reason. And it's your job to find and defuse the booby traps before they can go off, killing the various different residents of Hope County who have been imprisoned within the plant. I have to admit this was actually quite a fun and challenging mission. If only I'd known what was in store.
You ready for more? Got no choice. This is what happens when you fuck with us. We warned you too. We fucking warned you. You live and you learn. That's what Pop's always said. You and Rush gotta learn.
All the while you're doing this, of course, you're being subjected to yet more inane drivel from the evil twins over the radio. I don't know what it is about these two. I mean, they're clearly modelled on Negan from The Walking Dead, the leader of the Saviours, with the whole half your shit belongs to me shtick that he has going. And I get that these two are not like the villains in the other Far Cry games. I mean, they're basically a pair of thugs. They're not spiritual, mystical and charismatic like John Seed from Far Cry 5. They're not urbane, witty and sophisticated like Pagan Min from Far Cry 4. They're basically just a pair of thugs.
You thought you could throw your weight around? You thought you could make us look weak? Look at you now.
Yeah, that is the basic level of wit and sophistication that you can expect from these two. Their dialogue almost exclusively consists of them just saying, haha, you suck. They're basically just a pair of thugs, but, well, Vas Montenegro from Far Cry 3 was just a thug. And he was really scary. Negan from The Walking Dead, upon whom these two are clearly modelled, at the end of the day is just a bully and a thug. But he's got charisma and personality by the bucket load. The twins in Far Cry New Dawn? Yeah, not so much. Everything that they say to you, every jibe, every taunt, every joke, everything that they say is nothing that you have not heard before in the playground at school when you were 5 years old. They are a pair of idiots. Now, it has been pointed out to me that Herc Drubman Jr., probably my favourite character in any Far Cry game, is nothing but an idiot as well. How come, Jingles? It's funny. And you'll like it when Herc says and does dumb shit. But when the twins, the villains in Far Cry New Dawn, behave on exactly the same level, it's suddenly just stupid. And that's a good point, and it's one that deserves a good answer. Herc is the comedy sidekick. Doing dumb shit and saying dumb things is what he is for. You're supposed to laugh at Herc when he says or does something stupid. You're not supposed to laugh at the villains when they say and do things that are just unrelentingly dumb. Unless the villain in question is Dark Helmet from Spaceballs. Another good example of a villain who just surfs that borderline between being stupid and being incredibly menacing was Alan Rickman's portrayal of the Sheriff of Nottingham from the Kevin Costner movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
What's your memory like these days? You're gonna need it for the next one.
I realise, of course, I'm going to have to cut my own tongue out now for comparing these two clown shoes to Alan Rickman. God rest his soul. The man was an utter legend, and right up there with the likes of Christopher Walken when it came to portraying utterly sinister characters who were at the same time broken beyond redemption. These two clowns don't even deserve to be spoken of in the same sentence.
Just gotta squeeze a bit more out of them until there's barely anything left.
Anyway, I'm going to skip the final puzzle and go straight to the payoff, because it not only illustrates just what a shit pair of villains these two clowns are, but also perfectly illustrates the way at certain times the game just makes decisions for you. Utterly stupid ones that if you had anything to do with it you would not have made of your own free will. And it's particularly annoying when it does it in a game like this, because freedom of choice, freedom to go where you want, do what you want, how you want, is part of the big attraction of this whole kind of open world game. And when the game takes that choice away from you and makes you do things that are just utterly incomprehensibly stupid, it's really bloody annoying.
We told you, the only currency in this world is power, and you think you're swimming in it. But you'll see, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how hard you try, you don't control what happens. We do.
Oh, and it turns out that while I was complaining, I'd actually completed the final puzzle anyway, so we'll just finish off the last of the guards. And remember, at this point, yeah, they're still blathering on the radio. Come meet us inside. Okay, so finish off the last guard with the bayonet. Now we have to go and confront the twins and rescue Rush again. Except, here's where the game railroads you. Now, don't forget, at this point, I've just slaughtered an entire army of evil bikers. I've freed all of the hostages. I'm carrying more weapons than the Illinois National Guard. Let's just reload the AK. And now it's time to go and kick some ass and put an end to this nonsense.
Leave your guns outside. You don't have the power here anymore.
I think you're going to find that I do. I've just killed all of your people. There's only 2 of you left. I mean, what? Why did I do that? Why did I surrender my weapons? What? This does not make any sense at all.
Get out of here! Now!
This feels real familiar. Like we've been down this road before?
Yeah, well, that's Rush for you.
Relax. Stay a while.
What? They expect me to handcuff myself? No.
Come on. You've been so good up to this point.
Maybe you didn't hear me the first time. Fuck off. Oh, for God's sake, neither of them are armed. Why did I surrender my guns?
You do realize what's at stake here, don't you?
At this point, I don't understand why I'm not beating both of their asses back into the Stone Age with my bare hands.
Stubborn fucker, aren't you? Okay.
Yep, I came in here, loaded for bear, ready to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And then one of them said, "You don't have the power anymore." Oh well, you should have said so earlier. I'll just leave all my weapons at the door, walk in, and let you treat me like a punching bag. Because you said so.
You just keep asking for it, don't you? You want it? You want the stick?
Well, actually, I came here to give you the fucking stick, but apparently I'm not allowed to do that. Oh well, at least Rush won't be getting himself captured anymore. So there's that.
I'm gonna spend all night wiping those hopes and dreams off my boots. You know, before you showed up, everything was fucking great.
Oh, I feel that it's only correct of me to point out at this point that this is around about the 4th time during the course of playing the game that I've confronted these two, and it's only now just occurred to them that it might be a good idea to kill me. And why is that? Well, because they're fucking idiots. Then again, maybe I shouldn't be too critical, because I'm the one who's handcuffed to the ceiling.
There's no hope for you, no future for any of you.
And just when you thought things couldn't get any more stupid, what these two don't know is that at this point in the game, I've met John Seed from Far Cry 5, and I've taken some of his magical, mystical hippie fruit that's allowed his new Edeners to so far successfully fight off the bad guys, and it's turned me into the fucking Hulk. So I didn't even need a gun to kill them both. I could have just stomped their guts out the second I walked in, armed or not. But instead, the game robs you of any free will, makes all the choices for you, in the interests of advancing what laughably passes in the minds of the game developers for a plot. And then, just to add insult to injury, the game treats you to a touching funeral scene for Thomas Rush, the hero of prosperity, the man upon whom the hopes and dreams of all of the inhabitants of Hope County rested. A man whose sole contribution to their security was to turn up and get himself captured not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in a row, until even the villains got so embarrassed at his ineptitude that they eventually put him out of his misery by sticking a shotgun in the back of his head. And then, just when you thought things couldn't possibly get any worse, when the game finally allows you to start making your own decisions, thank you very much, and you do reach the actual final confrontation with the twins, and you rain down upon them the ferocious ass-kicking that they so badly deserve, the game once again has the massive brass-balled nerve to stop you dead in your tracks, completely take away your free will, and force you to stand there listening. No matter how hard you're hammering the mouse button and trying to put a bullet into her mouth and shut her the fuck up, you're forced to listen to her whine and bleat on, trying to make you feel sorry for her because she was just misunderstood. She never had a chance. She could have been a good person if only things had turned out differently.
Hey, Mickey, you okay? No! You? No. Hey, you ain't dying, are you?
I guess I broke my promise.
What?
To Mom. I told her we wouldn't end up like Dad.
We had a lot of fun, though, right?
Hey! Hey! Do not die first! You do not get to die first! I'm the oldest! I go first! God damn it! Lou! Lou? I was supposed to take care of you. I was supposed to take care of you and I didn't, and I'm so fucking sorry I fucked this up, man. I'm fucking sorry.
Bear in mind, all this time I'm just waiting to get control back so I can put a bullet between her eyes.
You know, Rabbit, you remind me of our mom. She had hope. She had dreams. She just wanted to fucking make things better, and I should have listened to her. But things just got carried away. Do what you gotta do.
Well, if I could do what I've got to do, that would be a fucking change. Oh, wait, no, am I actually going to get control of my character back? Let's see. No, not yet. No, oh, here we go. Yeah, there's another speech. Apparently the first speech wasn't long enough. Oh, wait, no, it's given me control of, well, at least some of my character. Although not the important part, I still don't actually have any control over my trigger finger. I still have to listen to her pleading for mercy. How long is this going to go on for? Yeah, I can't believe you're still alive either.
I can't believe I'm still alive. You
But
could
once I
do
get my trigger
something
finger
about
back,
that, or
you won't be.
If you just leave, you'll never see
Yeah,
me
you didn't
again.
convince me. Goodbye. Finally. At this point, if you're not thinking, fuck this game and everything it stands for, there's something wrong with you. The plot makes no sense. The villains are just idiots. It takes control of your character away from you at crucial points and just railroads you into the dumbest of decisions and forces you to listen to the most contrived bullshit that was ever put on paper. And yet, I still kind of enjoyed playing it. Although that probably says more about me than it does about Far Cry New Dawn. I really couldn't recommend this game to anybody but the most fervent, die-hard Far Cry 5 fans who were desperate to know exactly what it was that happened to Joseph Seed after the end of Far Cry 5. And that's something that I have purposely not spoiled in either of the two Far Cry New Dawn videos that I've done. Because the only people who could possibly be interested in this game are people who have already played Far Cry 5. Because if you haven't played Far Cry 5, the nonsensical plot of Far Cry New Dawn makes even less sense. So if you did play Far Cry 5 and you're keen to find out what happened to Joseph Seed, and you can put up with all of the bullshit that I've shown you in this Far Cry New Dawn video, and you're prepared to wait until this thing goes on sale and it's at least half the price that they're currently asking for it because there just isn't enough content in it to justify the price that it's currently being sold for. If you can tick all of those boxes, and it's a fairly tall order, then yeah, by all means, go out and get Far Cry New Dawn. And you'll probably enjoy it. At least when you're not grinding your teeth in frustration at just how unrelentingly stupid a lot of it is. And on that bombshell, I hope you enjoyed the video, because most of you are probably not going to enjoy Far Cry New Dawn. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.